Hey guys, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be looking back at the two oldest creation stories. The Eridu Genesis, also known as the Chaldean Genesis account, and the Enuma Elish. I'm also going to go over the Anunnaki because you can't look at those two creation stories without discussing the Anunnaki. This has turned into a big abyss, just one video here, so it's going to turn into a couple different videos, so just bear with me. You're going to hate me for this, but there's a couple of definitions I have to give you to even get started, because they made these real clear in the research that they're different. So let's get started. Thank you for being here. Please smash that like button. It's free, and I'll remind you again at the end of the video. Let's enjoy. Story. A story is an account of imaginary or real people and events that is usually told for entertainment. And everything's a story, so they call everything a story. There's just different kinds of stories. Next, we have the myth. A myth is a traditional story concerning the early history of a people or a place, or to explain a natural or social phenomenon, typically involving something supernatural. Saga. A long, detailed story of heroes or heroic achievements. Your Old Norse sagas, like the exploits of Odin, these are examples of a saga. Epic. A long poem derived from ancient oral traditions, narrating the deeds and adventures of an heroic or legendary figure. And sometimes like outlaws and stuff like that. A legend. A traditional story regarded as historical, but not usually authenticated. A tale. A fictitious or true narrative or story, especially one that's imaginatively retold. You know, add a little flair to it. Like people that go fishing, they tell fishing tales. You know, you caught a 1 pound bass, you say you caught a 10-pound bass on a dry hook with a piece of corn or something, you know. That's a tale. Alright, let's get on with the video. Alright, first we must look at the Mesopotamian Empire, which today is Iraq, Kuwait, Iran, Syria, and Turkey. Now, it was like a city-state thing. Think of Mesopotamia as like the continent. Okay, and then you got all these cities and states inside of it. The oldest city and the oldest people that are known were the Sumerians, which is modern-day Iraq. They co-dominated the Mesopotamian continent with the Assyrians until the fall of Babylon in 539 BC by Achaemenid Empire. Then Alexander the Great took it from them in 332 BC and made it the Greek Empire, and then the Arameans took it around 900 BC and kept it to 270 AD. Okay. Assyria, or the Assyrians, and they were, you know, one of the first peoples ever. Civilization, they become a territorial state, eventually becoming the Assyrian Empire. Acadia, or the Akkadians, was the first empire in the Mesopotamian continent. Akkad, or Akkad, is their capital. They united Sumerians and Akkadians under one rule. Then you had the Babylonian Empire and Babylon. And you had Earl of Chaldism, which is the of the Chaldeans. Now, Abraham and Sarah from the Bible came from the of Chaldees. And you know, after they went through Egypt and all, Abraham became Israel. So here's a little breakdown of the Israel name. Is for Isis, Ra for Amun-Ra, the Egyptian sun god, and El translates to God, Israel. God had, promised them the promised land, and he made them his people, and they become the Hebrews. And we think, I think, I don't know what scholars think, this is just my personal opinion, that Yahweh was the God of the Old Testament, of Genesis and all, and he was Yeoldekuriosityshoppe son, which we learned in the Gnostic creation story was the demiurge. So other cities in the Mesopotamian region that you might recognize from the Bible or the Torah was Uruk, Nippur, Nineveh. Nineveh is where God tried to send Jonas. Assur, and Babylon. And Eridu. Eridu was the first city ever in existence. So the earliest language that was spoken was Sumerian. It's a Semitic language. The Akkadians developed writing on clay tablets around the 4th millennium. They call it cuneiform script. And the word cuneiform means wedge-shaped. And they took all the things that they had drawn pictures of, like, say, cave wall paintings, they call them pictograms, and, put it into a written language called cuneiform. The Mesopotamian religion is the oldest religion ever. All the gods ever that you've ever heard from have to be Sumerian in origin, since the Sumerians were the first peoples. Now, I'm not going by the Bible here. I'm going by what they've dated. What these archaeologists and these experts have dated as this stuff. So, all gods are Sumerian in origin. The first civilizations to practice spirituality and form a religion was in Sumeria. They were polytheistic, which means they got many gods and lots of pantheons. Every city had a temple. Every temple had a god or a goddess and its own priest. They believed in the primordial seas, the primordial creations, beings, and energies. They had demigods, which was kind of like vice presidents or assistant gods. Heroes, monsters, spirits. They believed in celestials, which was gods and all. And we'll get to that, how they come about them being gods. Little carvings or idols was big things. Everybody had a little Marduk in their cupboard. The star people and the sky gods. They knew they come from the sky, so they, ended up worshiping them as gods. They have a lot of festivals, rituals, and they believed in sacrifice. It started out as an oral tradition, went to pictographs, and then become written cuneiform script, like I said. Okay, now we gotta mention the Anunnaki for a few minutes, because the Anunnaki were the first gods. The Anunnaki triune, or the triad, just like the Christian triad, are the three most important gods in Mesopotamia. You had An, or Anu. It's Anu in Sumerian. He's the sky god. He's one of the oldest known gods. And see, this gets confusing, and I'll point it out. He's father of the gods. He's credited with creating the universe, and he is the godhead of the Anunnaki triune. And then you have the Sumerian god A, or Enki. Now, Anu was Enki's dad. Enki was a twin. He had a brother named Adad. I don't know what happened to him. And his mother was Kai, the Sumerian mother goddess of Earth. And the word Anunnaki means princely offspring of Anu. Okay, the god Ea, or Sumerian Enki, he was the god of wisdom and magic. They said he was a prankster. He is associated with the element of water. Actually, he's the god of the waters. Now, I didn't say this, but the internet did. That he was sexy, strong, and virile. He was the ultimate source of all ritual knowledge. He was a patron god of the arts and civilization. He was creator and protector of humanity. Now, the Akkadians believe that Enki lives in Abzu. Abzu is the primordial ocean that's underneath the earth. Not underground, but underneath the whole earth, the planet. Abzu is a key cosmic location in the Mesopotamian belief system. Babylon is believed to be built right on top of Abzu. Alright, then we have Enlil, or Elil for Sumerian. He's the supreme god of the Mesopotamian pantheon. He granted kingships and decided the fates of mankind. He was called the Lord of the Air. He was god of storms and wind, and the king of heaven and the underworld. So you've got the triune is Anu for heaven, Enlil the atmosphere or air, and Enki is the earth. They were early human architects. In the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is the Babylonian flood story, you have Enki that's come up with a plan to create man out of clay. He wants them to be slaves for the gods. But the supreme god, Enlil, tried to destroy mankind with a flood. Because they were loud and rowdy and Enlil couldn't sleep. But if we look really ahead, which I get confused, to the Tiamat story, it was Apsu, the grandpa, Tiamat's husband, who wanted everybody to die. Anyway, Enki got word and told the sage Athrahasis to build an ark so that humans could escape the flood. Alright, then you got the Sumerian creation myth, the Eridu Genesis, also called the Chaldean account of Genesis, the poem of creation, and the epic of creation. It is the second oldest surviving written account. It's a single clay tablet that was found in Nippur by an expedition from the University of Pennsylvania in 1893. It's written in the Sumerian language and was written around 1600 BCE. The beginning of the tablet was lost, but what's left of it tells us that Anu, Enlil, and Enki, and Kai created man. They gave him animals. They told him to multiply. They made comfortable conditions here on earth. Then they brought the kingship from heaven to earth and made kings, which there's a king's list. They founded cities and civilizations. The first city was Eridu. Then there's a section missing. It picks up with the gods deciding not to save mankind from an impending flood. And Enki warns the Akkadian sage, telling him to build an ark. Well, the flood comes for 7 days and 7 nights, bad storms. Day 8, the sun, or UTU, appears, and Athrahasis sacrifices an ox and a sheep. Then it's missing another section. When it comes back, Athrahasis is bowing or prostrate on the ground before Anu, the sky god, and Enlil, which they called the Lord Breath. And they gave Athrahasis breath eternal for saving the animals and the seed of mankind. And the rest of the tablet is lost. Now, the oldest known creation story is the Enuma Elish. It was written around 1100 BC. That's the second millennium. It's also called the Seven Tablets of Creation. The Enuma Elish and the Eridu Genesis predate the Bible, Torah, Pentateuch, the Genesis story by at least a millennia. A millennia is 1,000 years. I had to look it up. The Enuma Elish is over 1,000 lines of cuneiform script on 7 clay tablets that was taken or found in a dig at the temple of the goddess Inanna. It begins by separating the water from chaos, and I think I'm just going to read it to you from here. I'll give you my sources in my description. The Enuma Elish is the Babylonian creation myth written across 7 stone tablets. The poem describes the beginning of the universe as the separating of water from chaos. Essentially, the universe begins in a chaos of swirling waters until, with time, the waters separate into Apsu, fresh water, and Tiamat, salt water. Apsu and Tiamat give birth to the first generation of gods, the oldest among them being or Enki. Now, see, that kind of confuses me because supposedly Anu is Enki's dad, so wouldn't he be older than Enki? I mean, come on. Unfortunately, and his younger brothers were noisy and disruptive, and they bug Apsu as he's sleeping. So Apsu wakes up on the wrong side of the bed and decides that the solution to the problem is to kill everybody. Tiamat intervenes by warning who is then somehow able to lure Apsu back to sleep and murder him. In any case, Tiamat is outraged by the murder of her husband. Sort of unfair after she went to the trouble of warning or Enki, and she declares war on the entire group of younger gods. In hindsight, maybe Tiamat should have given the matter more thought. So now the gods need somebody to kill Tiamat. So Marduk volunteers. Marduk kills Tiamat, which is his grandmother. He splits her in half with an arrow. He takes the two halves and makes the earth and the sky. Then he takes her tears and makes the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. He takes her blood and bones and some of Apsu's blood and bones and makes mankind. So we've got Anu claiming to create the universe. We've got creating man. We've got Enlil as the supreme god. And now we have Marduk killing Tiamat and creating the sky, the earth, and mankind. And Enki lives on top of Apsu, which is the primordial ocean that is under the earth. And so, it's no wonder anybody can figure any of this out, because Anu was Enki's dad, and Enki was Marduk's dad, but yet Marduk created more stuff than all of them. So I think all that comes in where the three Anunnaki, after he killed Tiamat, they all give him all their powers, and they made Marduk the king of all the gods. So I think that's how they're just, that's how that came about, that it got put to Marduk's name, the way he cut Tiamat up. So a little bonus preview here before, this is going to be in the next video, but I'll just give you an overview of Marduk, who was Enki's son. His parents were Enki and Damkina, or Damgalunia. His grandmother was Tiamat. Apsu, was the grandfather or whatever. They call Marduk the god of 50 names. He was the chief god of Babylon and Babylonia, the national god of Babylonia. He was the god of thunderstorms, god of fertility, and god of vegetation. They had local deities back then for that. They had a god for everything. The harvest, everything. They eventually called him Baal Marduk because the word Baal, B-E-L, meant Lord in Akkadian. So, he became king of the gods for killing Tiamat. That put him at the top of the pyramid. And all the Anunnaki made him that because, see, they, because Tiamat had warned Enki and all that. It was a big thing. Anyway, they needed somebody to go up and kill Tiamat or fight Tiamat, and Marduk volunteered. So when he won and all this, Anu, Enki, and Enlil give all their power and authority over to Marduk, and Marduk become the god of the land. Marduk's planet is Jupiter. His animals are horses, dogs, and dragons. He is said to have his own war chariot. And whenever you would see him depicted, a lot of times he would have a triangular spade in his hand, because of the god of vegetation. He is one of 9 of the most powerful gods in the universe. And we're going to learn all 9 of those. But we got Marduk as one of them. Now, Marduk had a dragon. His dragon's name was Mushhushu, and it means furious snake. This dragon had a head and scales like a snake, claws of an eagle, legs of a lion, and a tail with a scorpion stinger. This dragon is also depicted in the gates at the Ishtar gates. He was the protective animal, the patron animal of Ishtar. So, that's it for this video. I learned a lot making it. I hope that you enjoyed it. I just want to thank you for being here. And I want to remind you to please smash that like button on your way out. It doesn't cost anything and you're not subscribing by doing that. But I'd love it if you'd subscribe also, comment, and share. Thank you so much. Remember to raise each other up in your prayers and your vibrations. Namaste.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry. It's time to break up so I can make a better me. Better believe in your mind, cause it's everything.